بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
ألف لام را تلك آيات الكتاب المبين إنا أنزلناه قرآنا عربيا لعلكم تعقلون نحن نقص عليك أحسن القصص بما أوحينا إليك هذا القرآن وإن كنت من قبله لمن الغافلين إذ قال يوسف لأبيه يا أبت إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين قال يا بني لا تقصص رؤياك على إخوتك فيكيدوا لك كيدا إن الشيطان للإنسان عدو مبين
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jazakumullah khair for each and every one of you coming to today's talk. Inshallah ta'ala, as the brother said, on the lessons from the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam, who is also known as Joseph. This is the biblical term. And obviously, no doubt you've studied many times the lives of different prophets. And many of us were called after the names of prophet, like my son is called Ibrahim. And he has significance. No doubt they are the most noble of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in total, Allah Azza wa Jalla, He mentions 25 in the Quran. So there has to be a significance as to why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions them. And that's why the Mufassirin, who are the people who do the commentary on the Quran, they said the Quran is divided into 3 sections. And it's always important for us to understand this. The first section, they say, is what is known as ikhbari. Ikhbari from khabar, which means news. So one of the things we hear is the bushra of Jannah, yes? Paradise. We know about it from the Quran. And we hear about the severity of the nar, Jahannam, the hellfire, from the Quran. We learn about malaika, we learn about jinn, all from where? We learn about this from the Quran. Because these are things which are ghaib, ghaibiyat. What does that mean, brothers? Unseen. So informative, ikhbariyat, mean informative. The second category is what is known as qasas, which is narratives. And this is what we're going to be studying today, a narrative, because we're talking about the life of a prophet, and it's narrated by who? None other than Allah Azza wa Jal. That's what Allah says, فَقْصُصِ الْقَصَاصَ لَأَلَّهُمْ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Relate to them stories, these qasas. They're not fairy tales, they're stories taken about the lives of people in the past so that people can reflect. And that's why we didn't say the topic itself is just the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. It is lessons from the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. So that we can maybe take something from his story and apply it to our own life. And you find a great portion of the Quran is like this. If you study your Quran, you will see there are many chapters that are named after prophets, are they not? Chapter Hud, chapter Yunus, chapter Yusuf, is it chapter 12? Ibrahim, Muhammad. So there is significance behind this as well. And the third portion, which is known as ahkam, which is regards to ruling, knowing about how to pray, that Allah made, for example, fasting fard upon us, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. This is the verse of fasting. These are known as ahkam. In the Quran, the least number of verses relate to ahkam. Why is that? The least. You would think most of the Quran is ahkam, but it's not. The least portion is ahkam. This is from the mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is from the mercy of Ar-Rahman. The reason being, Allah doesn't like to burden us. That's why from the actions that we do, most of it is mubah. means nothing been legislated. And the fara'id are actually few. And the muharramat are actually few as well, when you consider all of the things that we do. Brother, did you ask what color this cloth should be? Don't need to. It's a cloth. You put it, nothing been stipulated. So this means most of what we do, according to ahkam, is allowed. But the point I'm trying to make is this is from the Quran. So the Quran plays a major part in our life. So the qasas is something important for us because Allah wouldn't have mentioned it otherwise in the eternal miracle, which is this, the Quran, the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah mentions it for a purpose. And we said, Allah said, relate the qasas so that people can reflect. So the question is, where does the story of Yusuf alayhi salam actually start? It actually starts from Yusuf alayhi salam coming to his father in the first place. Now let's set the scenario a little bit. Just a little bit, because you need to know the background before he comes. Yusuf alayhi salam is one of how many brothers? 12 brothers. He's one of them. If I was to say how many brothers he has 11 brothers. So, do you know where he falls in the serial? It's important for us to understand. This is where we know top or near the bottom. Second youngest, mashallah. It's important for us to understand it. He's second youngest, so he came after quite a lot of children, and not just that, sons. And you know how we are when it comes to sons, and how we treat son. Every time we have a son, we say, mashallah, Allahu Akbar. And then when we have a daughter, what do we say? Inshallah, we should say the same, mashallah, Allahu Akbar. Okay, inshallah. So he came, and he's the 11th son, okay? So you can imagine how Yaqub alayhi salam is very proud he's got so many sons. But he's the second youngest. So the thing is, are they all from one mother? This is the question we need to ask. They're not. They're not from one mother. Though the majority of the elder ones are from one mother, but the latter, in total, Yaqub, which is the father of Yusuf alayhi salam, he had 4 wives. Okay, he had 4 wives. So Yusuf alayhi salam and his brother, whose name is Benjamin. Yes, you know this, mashallah. Benyamin, okay, in Arabic, Benjamin, they're from one mother. So the issue is, you know, when it comes to children, they say when you look to the pegging, you either love the oldest or you love the youngest. That's where the love is. And that's why the children in the middle, they always feel a bit left out. If you come second, you just missed out being first. Okay? So that's how it works, does it not? So that's the scenery, okay? That's the scene that has been set. And we said that he was quite young at that time. So Allah Azza wa Jal, he starts off in the Quran talking about the story, and he says, Nahnu nakussu alayk ahsan al-qasas. We are going to relate to you, this is in Surah Yusuf, a beautiful story. So the story of Yusuf alayhi salam in itself is something very beautiful, because Allah Azza wa Jal put it all in Surah Yusuf. That's why I remember one Ramadan, and a couple of the Huffaz I'm close to, they were leading the Taraweeh, and they were vying, because they didn't know which the pegging, because there was 2 or 3 of them, they're swapping, and they didn't know when Surah Yusuf is going to come, who's going to get it. So it's quite funny, because this is when you interact with them, you realize how much they love the Quran. They were vying to see who would be able to recite this beautiful story. So they're pegging and so on and so on. So one of them, which I was closer to, he just says, you know what, the other brother got it. So he's a little bit upset. But he goes, you know what, I got Yasin, so I've got to do Yasin. But he's got Rahman. So it was like this, just to show you how much they love the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that this is a beautiful story that we're going to relate to you. And it starts off from who? Yusuf alayhi salam. He comes to his father and he says, Ya abati inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaban wa shamsu wal qamara ra'aytuhum li sajidin. So he said, Ya abati inni ra'aytu ahada ashara kawkaban wa shamsu wal qamara ra'aytuhum li sajidin. So he said, oh my beloved father, abati, I saw 11 kawkaban. What does that mean? Could mean planet, could mean stars. In Arabic, both is except. I know we used to say nujum, yes, which means stars, but kawkaban also means in Arabic planets as well as stars because of the distance. Wa shamsu wal qamara, the sun and the moon, ra'aytuhum li sajidin. I saw them that they were making prostration to me. Okay, so this is how the story starts. From the beginning, it's quite an epic, isn't it? Boom. It starts up, boom. Yusuf alayhi salam come to his father and telling me this. Now this pleased Yaqub alayhi salam a lot. The reason being, he is relating to him a dream, ru'ya. Now, what is the significance of a dream? This is the first lesson we're going to learn, inshallah ta'ala. See, the dreams, and I did a little talk about this in my maktab the other day to the kids, and I said, how many of you dream? And they all put their hands up and so on. So dreams do play a major part in our lives, but especially when it comes to prophets and their progeny. Because the dream is of three types. First one, which is known as Rahmani. Rahmani coming from Ar-Rahman, means these are good dreams that come from Allah Azza wa Jal. And what sort of things do you see in those dreams? What would you see? Some of the kids, they saw themselves doing Hajj. The kids, this is what I said, so what did you see in these so good dreams? I'm doing Hajj. I said, have you ever been? They go, no. I said, what kind of experience was it? They said, it was lovely. They're not been. It's not the case, sister. They said they done Hajj. I thought, mashallah, this is a Rahmani dream. Ru'ya Rahmani means something from Allah Azza wa Jal. The child's never been to Mecca, but he can see himself there. MashaAllah, okay? So we hope Allah gives us this. But this is the type of dream that comes to prophets as well. Ru'ya Sahiha, the Sahih dream. But the difference with the prophets is that when they have a dream, it has to come true. And we're going to talk about this in a bit, once I give the classification of the dreams. The second time is what is known as Nafsani. Nafsani, means from the nafs, from yourself. And this is, the scholars say, it is what you see during the day with your own eyes. What do you see around you? You see around you football matches, yes? You see around you playing Xbox game. You see around you those who work in supermarkets. If you've ever worked on a till all day, tap, 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 tap. What happens when you go to sleep? What you see during the day, repeat it again in the night. So sometimes it becomes a mixture of things. You may have been driving, you may have been doing this, all of this comes together and you have a dream, and this is known as nafsani, I mean from yourself. I mean what you saw during the day, when you sleep, your mind is still reenacting this. So in some cases this is harmless, but one thing it can do is really knacker you and tire you. Especially, for example, the example of somebody who works 10 hours on a till. When they go to sleep, they want to rest, don't they? They want to have a break from it, but instead they're still serving customers. It can be quite tiring and so on. So that's why I said to the children, when you see yourself playing games, 8-10 hours, which is really harmful for you. I know the weekends come in and you have days off. What will happen? You go to sleep and you're still playing games. When are you going to give your mind a rest? So this is the second type, and this is where you see what is awake. The third type is what is known as shaitani. This is the one that distresses you. Comes in the night, and often it's called nightmares, is it not? Now this one will affect you, because it will come to distress you. You will see horrible things. You may see yourself doing evil acts. You may see something harmful happening to you. Attacked by a beast, snakes coming to you. You may see all of these sort of things. You may see things that don't really exist even, ghouls as they say, yes? You see all of these things, shaitani, from ash-shaitan. He comes to distress you. And this is bad as well. Why? Because you want a peaceful night's sleep, you wake up in a panic, in a cold sweat. But you can save yourself from this. Firstly, if you take precaution, follow the example of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the things that he always did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to do what before he used to go to sleep? Wudu. This is the first barrier you have. A lot of people that think, I want to go to sleep, last thing I want to do, I've done my salah. I've done my salah. Last thing I want to do is touch some water, you wake me up again. Trust me, it's a barrier, it's like a shield. Do your wudu. This is the first thing you do as a preventative measure from being harmed by nightmares. Then what you do is what the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he did himself, was to cup his hands, blow in it 3 times. Now I've heard a different version. Blow in it 3 times and do your quls. Qul huwallahu ahad, qul a'udhu birabbil falaq, qul a'udhu birabbin nas. Blow, okay? Blow first, then do the surahs, and then what you do, rub all over your body. You may think this is strange. How can this protect me? But it does. Protects you. It's like another shield. Then what do? You can recite Ayatul Kursi, if you know it. But if not, Ayatul Kursi, last 2 ayat of Surah Baqarah, this protects you from shaitani dreams. And then one of the things you should try to do is sleep on your right. It's important you sleep on your right. Because the shaitani sleeps on his left. As soon as you sleep on your left, you find complications as well. So this is to talk about the 3 types of dream, and the story starts off, why? Because we're talking about a dream. So the type of dream we're talking about is Rahmani, from Allah Azza wa Jal. And it's the type of dream that came to who? Yusuf alayhi salam. Now, why did this please Yaqub alayhi salam? We need to ask the question. The reason being, imagine you have 12 sons like Yaqub alayhi salam. He is a prophet, yes, Yaqub alayhi salam. His father was who? Jacob, Ishaq. Yes. Yaqub's father was Ishaq. Ishaq's father was who? Ibrahim alayhi salam. Khalilullah, yes. Now, for example, when the dream came to Ibrahim alayhi salam that he had to slaughter his son said what? Do what you're commanded by Allah Azza wa Jal, because it's a dream, it's revelation, you have to fulfill it. Ismail alayhi salam was prophet as well. Go and fulfill it. So the prophets, when they have dreams, there is nothing shaitanic at all. Satan cannot enter. So if they see something, like for example, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he saw he had to slaughter his son, they have to do this. They have to do this, because this is from Allah. Shaitan cannot enter the dreams of the prophet. They're protected. That's what he means when he says ma'soom. So Ismail alayhi salam, he knew he had to do this. So the dreams are important to the prophets because it is a sign that they are prophets. So when Yusuf alayhi salam came and said, I have a dream, and obviously the dream interpretation Allah knows and he will give to the prophets, but he revealed to Yusuf alayhi salam, one of the things that happened, Yaqub alayhi salam saw that there was something special in Yusuf alayhi salam. What did he see? He knew that this boy from amongst his 12 sons has been chosen as prophet. Subhanallah. Can you see the significance? Because we know the story talks about the fact that Yaqub alayhi salam, he loved Yusuf more than his other children. Why? Why not? Allah chose them. This is a sign straight away to Yaqub alayhi salam that Yusuf alayhi salam has been chosen prophet. The other sons are not prophets. So if they have a dream, what will happen? Shaitan can influence them. Even though they are the sons of prophet. There's a saying from the old country, they say, Alim or Goro, Zalim. Okay, few people will know what this means. From the house of an alim, you can have a zalim, mean zalim. Does that make sense? Someone who's an alim, a scholar, he can produce a son who is an oppressor. Okay? Why? Because alim is protected by his knowledge. If the son doesn't learn the knowledge, what happens? He can go and oppress people. So this is a saying that they have. So like the saying, a prophet, he can have people who disbelieve in his family or are influenced by shaitan. We know this, do we not, from the stories of the other prophets. So one of the things, the first thing that happened was Yaqub alayhi salam, and we need to talk about this because this is the pivotal point of the story of the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. Yaqub alayhi salam saw his son Yusuf come to him with a dream, he knew straight away there's a special quality in him, so he knew that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala favored him compared to his other sons. So what was the advice of Yaqub alayhi salam from the statement of this dream? He said, don't tell your brothers about this dream. Don't tell your brothers about this dream that you have or you had, because they will plot against you. They will plot against you because verily shaitan is an enemy, an open enemy. Adu mubin to insan. He's talking about his own children, that they can be influenced by shaitan. And then the matter is left. That's the opening of the life and the story of the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. So what happens? Now let's talk about the brothers. So the first point we mentioned, lesson, is talking about dreams. We understand the significance of dreams. The second point we need to speak about is now going to be what is known as sibling rivalry. Is this an issue? Where siblings, brothers and sisters, they compete against each other. Have you ever grown up towards this? Have you ever felt the effects of this? I was not going to ask for your own personal experience. I'm going to give you some examples, but see if you can relate to this. What is sibling rivalry? Sibling rivalry is basically where one sibling, one of the offspring, competes against another offspring. They compete for what? For attention, for favors, for rank, and so on. Now you may think this is not an issue, but the psychologists, they looked into this because really the makeup of a child is affected by this. That's why they say, the children who are lone children, they don't have siblings, they have a certain characteristic. And usually you can find that they're not very competitive because they've got nothing to compete for. You usually find that they can be sometimes a bit withdrawn if they've not had much attention from their parents. Or they can be the total opposite, where they get too much attention because they got all of the attention and they become eccentrics. Okay, there's a bit of a lesson for us when it comes to parenting, just to understand it is important the amount of attention you give to your children. So they said sibling rivalry, this bond that people have because they're from mother and fathers and they share the blood, they see each other as competition. Now sometimes it couldn't be just harmless competition, but sometimes it can be quite, aggressive. The animosity becomes so great to the point people want to kill them, their siblings. And if in case you think this is extreme, you only need to look at the sons of who? Adam alayhi salam. Cain and Abel. If we look to the example of Cain and Abel, what will you find? Competing against each other. They were competing against each other, and what were they competing against? They wanted the love of their father. But the father, who is a prophet himself, loved the one that Allah loved most. Do you know who Allah loved most? Habil. That's good. We need to know our name. Is it that in English? Which one is it? Cain or Abel? It's Abel. Okay, Abel. Yeah. It was the younger son. The younger son because he gave the better offering. Now, this is sibling rivalry. Now, sibling rivalry can come from many things, they say. It could be just the order, the birth order. And usually you find parents always favor the oldest one. The oldest one can never do no wrong. And this is really a little bit unfair on the other siblings because, as they say, the oldest one gets away with murder. In this case, Cain and Abel, he didn't get away with it. But they coin this phrase, they say this. So it can be anything. But also, if one of the children are gifted, what happens if you find the child is gifted? All of the attention goes to this child. So you have children, yes? And one of them, mashallah, all of a sudden shows you aptitude for hifz. Being able to memorize Quran. What will you do? Ya Allah, this is the sheikh. This is the sheikh, is it not? Yes? You put all the attention on this child, and the others think, what's happened to me? Can you see what happens? So the other one now feels a bit like a bereavement there because of the fact what's happened. So sibling rivalry is very important. So straight away when this happened after the dream and so on, and they spotted this beforehand, they saw that Yusuf alayhi salam is treated as someone different. So what did they do? Exactly as their father said would happen, they came with a plot. They came with a plot. And they said, why is it, amongst themselves, they said, why is it that Yaqub alayhi salam, our father, he prefers Yusuf over us? We are strong as a unit. Because the elders, they were from one mother, a lot of them, and they felt very strong because of this. And they said, why him? He's so young. Why him? Why is he chosen? Why is he favored more than us? So the plot they came up with is to kill him. Just to talk about sibling rivalry, to kill him. And that's what the Quran says, to kill him. And it was only because the elder brother, he said, no, we can't kill him. Rather, let's do what? Let's drop him down a well. And some people will find him and then he'll be banished from the land. He'll be gone. So that was the plot that they came up with. Who inspired this? Shaitan will inspire this. How can, you see, blood wants to kill blood. Blood wants to kill blood. This is what happens. So they tried. They went to their father and they asked the father to release Yusuf in their company. For what purpose did they say? So he can go stretch his leg, have some fun with us. But Yaqub alayhi salam, who was very protective of his younger two sons, Yusuf, and the one that resembled him the most, Benjamin. He wouldn't let them out of his sight. Always in the household and so on and so on. So they were persistent and persistent and persistent until one day Yaqub alayhi salam, he let them go. He let them take Yusuf alayhi salam. The thing that Yaqub alayhi salam told his sons that he feared most is that they're not going to be negligent. They're not going to look after him. And one of the things that will happen, a wolf will come and take them. So this is the thing that he told his sons all along. But the sons persisted until they got the permission. When they went, he said as soon as that they took him outside the vicinity of where they live, they started to badger Yusuf alayhi salam. His brothers. They started to curse him. They started to push him around. They started to really be very angry towards him. This is the opportunity. You can see what happens when you have a plot. So can you imagine how this must have felt for Yusuf alayhi salam at that time? This is his own brothers. Cursing him, beating him and so on, pushing him around, to the point they chucked him in the well. They chucked him in the well and they went and hid for a while. Then came a caravan. A caravan means just a convoy. Some people going all the way to Egypt. They took him out of the well, because when they get in the water, he came out of the well at that time, and they thought, what is this? Amazing. This boy who was very handsome. Obviously, we know this is one of the qualities of Allah. What is this boy doing? And they were about to take him. The brothers, they came out and they said, verily, this boy is a slave of ours. Now, the question may be, why is it at that time that Yusuf alayhi salam, he didn't mention anything? You got to think why. Because he could just say, no, they're my brothers. They said, this boy is a slave of ours, and they asked for some money from the people. And it said that they only gave 20 silver coins, which is a small price considering this is a prophet, son of a prophet. Karim, Ibn Karim, Ibn Karim, Ibn Karim. The noble, the son of a noble, the son of the noble, the son of the noble. Nabi, the son of a Nabi, the son of a Nabi, the son of Khalilullah. Can you imagine? So that's why Allah mentions the fact that they sold him for a small price. The Mufassirin say the reason Yusuf alayhi salam, he didn't say anything is he just come away from the grasp of death. They wanted to kill him, did they not? Chuck him down the well. He could have died. So he knew if he spoke up, now what's going to happen? They're going to take him and they're going to do something else. It's better for him just to go with this caravan. So he accepted his fate. Okay, inshallah ta'ala. So what are the two things we learned about so far? Dreams. We learned the things about sibling rivalry, which is very important that we understand sibling rivalry, especially as parents, because we can't allow that to happen. That's why one of the things we learn from the sunnah is what? That if you have children, you need to favor all of them. Treat them favorably. Means if you give one a present, what should you do? Give another one a present. If you give one of your children a kiss, what should you do? My two daughters, if I kiss the youngest one, the oldest one is sleeping, in her sleep she'll say, Dad, she's in her sleep. You think, how does she know? Dad, and I have to give her a kiss. It's funny, talking about my oldest daughter. Her brother is slightly older than her, gets toys, and she gets toys. All of a sudden she says to me, he gets better toys than me. And I thought, subhanAllah, I give you both toys. She goes, he gets better toys than me. Which means now I realize she's grown up. All of the small toys that I used to get for her, she realized her brothers are getting better toys because age appropriate. So now that gave me a lesson. Now I need to be careful the type of toys I buy for her. She goes, better toys. So now that means it can't be equal. It's got to be the fact that you give them what is according to their age and their needs and so on. So that's why sibling rivalry is something important. You've got to stop that if you can. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, he told a man, you kissed that child, did you kiss the other child? He said, yes. He goes, if you didn't, you would have been a dhalim. You would have been an oppressor. So can you see? So that was the second lesson from the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. The third lesson we're going to speak about, inshallah ta'ala, is talking about high society. The life of the rich. This is from the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. Does the life of the rich impress people or not? What do you think? What do you think? Do people care in society about the life of the rich and the famous? That's what sells newspapers, does it not? That's what sells magazines. People are so interested. Obviously, we're a Muslim community, we're not too concerned, but I'm just talking about general society. Everything you find in the news about people with high profile. They have money, they have power, and so on. People love a good gossip, do they not? So if any times we find, for example, anyone of high profile in the news, people tune in straight away. For example, at the moment, there's a court case going on, is there not? A doctor, yes? Famous pop star. Who did what? Are people glued in? Yes. Court cases happening where? In America. But people are glued in all around the world. So for the outcome. Why? Because this sort of thing intrigues people. So one of the things we get is an insight into the life of the rich. Because the person that took Yusuf alayhi salam was who? None other than the Aziz of Misr. Aziz means obviously mighty, but here it means a minister. And the minister here is the minister of treasury. The one in charge of the funds. Because who is the ruler of Misr? Who is the ruler of Egypt? No, not by name. You know, by title. They're Pharaoh. That's what I was going to say. Pharaoh. Every region has their own. Like the Kisra is the ruler of Persia. And the Caesar is the ruler of the Roman Empire. Always you find in Egypt, the rulers were called pharaohs. Fir'aun. Now, obviously we associate all Fir'aun with the Fir'aun of Musa alayhi salam. But we're talking about a Fir'aun before that. A pharaoh before that means just a ruler. Because Yusuf alayhi salam came many hundreds of years before Musa alayhi salam. So we don't want to get confused. It's not the same. Every time we mention a pharaoh, we think it's the pharaoh or the Fir'aun of Musa alayhi salam. This is not the case. So the Aziz is second to this. And this is one of the things we find in society even today. After the Prime Minister, who has the most power, do you think? The Chancellor, mashallah, yeah? People say it's the deputy. Deputy is a dog's body. Man, if the Prime Minister is on a holiday, what happens? He has to fill in. But usually people are concerned with the Prime Minister and the deputy. That's why in the previous government there was a big power struggle, wasn't there? The Chancellor said to the Prime Minister, when you step down, I want the position. Why didn't the deputy just say, I want the position? Because normally this is the status quo, the positioning. So you can imagine the person that took Yusuf alayhi salam is the Aziz. He's the one in charge of the treasury. So high position. And he has a beautiful wife, Zuleyka, a beautiful wife. So he takes this boy, and says this boy can be what? A servant or even a son to us. I mean someone qareeb, close in the household. So he grows up. He grows up in the household, treated like family, and obviously has access to the house and obviously the social aspects of the Aziz. But he's obviously still a commodity, a property, because he was brought as a slave. So on one occasion, this is when he's grown up to be a young lad, the Aziz, he leaves, and it's a famous incident. The Aziz, he leaves, and the wife of the Aziz, Zuleyka, she shuts the door. And Allah Azza wa Jalla says that she says, قَالَتْ هَيْتَ لَكَ, take me. She shuts the door and says, هَيْتَ لَكَ. Allah mentioning this. Take me. Now this is the thing people do on impulse, isn't it? They're waiting for an opportunity. Take me now. And this is the way people do affairs and so on. So this is the language that's used. How does Yusuf alayhi salam respond? He said, Ma'adallah. He said, I seek refuge with Allah. I don't want nothing to do with this act. But you can see the one who wants to do adultery, they put so much in their mind, take me. They think the opportunity is you're going to take me. But Yusuf alayhi salam is a prophet, and this is one of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does with prophets. Gives them good character. Even before they receive any revelation, they have good character. And obviously Allah protects them even further still when they receive revelation as well. So he said, Ma'adallah. He says, I seek refuge from you in Allah Azza wa Jalla. And he starts to run towards the same door that she locked. As she goes there, chasing him, he's trying to open the door. Who walks in? The Aziz. Her husband walks in. So then she says, can you imagine this? She says to the husband, just to show you how people are devious, one minute she's got full of lust, the husband comes in, her demeanor changes totally. Then she turns to the husband and says, is there no punishment? Is there no punishment for the one who does or wants to do evil to your wife? Aziz is shocked. This is Yusuf, he loves him, yes? She goes, is there no punishment for the one who tends to do evil? Other than prison or some chastisement? Aziz is gobsmacked. He's like, what is going on? What is going on? Doesn't expect this. He didn't know anything like this exists. So the commotion happens, who comes up? He says a woman from the household, maybe someone who helps, or maybe even a friend of the family, she comes up. But she has some influence. The reason being, when she asks what happens, the Aziz is shocked. She said, what happened? Aziz said, there's a case here. My wife is accusing Yusuf of the fact he wants to do something evil. She said, if this is the case, let's judge it. She said, look to the shirt of Yusuf alayhi salam. If we find that it's torn from the front, then we know she was struggling against him. But if we find it's torn from the back, then we know he was running away. Which one was it? Torn from the back. So the woman is someone wise. Otherwise, Aziz, he wouldn't have to listen to her. She has some influence. She knows what has happened, yes? So the Aziz, he finds out that it was his wife who was in the wrong. High society, how do they deal with this sort of stuff? He said to Yusuf, let's leave this. No mention of this anymore. High society, see how they hide things. That's why the Prophet ﷺ used to say that when the rich in the past used to do sins or something evil or take the rights of other people, meaning steal or do something wrong, they would be excused. But if the poor were to do it, they would be punished harshly. So high society, the minister, he finds out that his wife is the one lusting after the slave boy, which is something abhorrent in that society. Because in the end of the day, he is a commodity brought. He's not nobility to them. He says to Yusuf, no mention of this anymore. And even the lady who heard, she's trustworthy because she's not going to speak. So how is it then, I ask you, my dear brothers and sisters, that the people, there was a buzz in society thereafter? There was a buzz in society that the wife of the minister, she's lusting after a slave boy. How did that happen? No one said from the household. Okay, whenever you want to do something evil, okay? Whenever you want to do something evil, you think no one's around you, yes? You know Allah's watching, but at the time of the temptation, you succumb, yes? Who watches you when you do something evil? Shaitan watches you. Okay, I wanted to explain to you why. The shaitan will watch you doing the haram, especially adultery or anything like that, drinking alcohol. You think no one sees you. Shaitan, what will he do? He will go to someone. Say somebody has some doubts or some animosity towards you or something. He'll pick the right type of person and he'll enter the dream of that person. Remember, back to dreams. And he'll put in the mind of that person, you know what, I think this person did this. So the person wakes up and starts thinking, no, I think this person does this. It's like Inception. You put something in the mind of someone. No one saw it. Or the people that saw it didn't relate it to anyone, but because shaitan is present, he will go and tell the people. And he loves to do this. Su'ad-dhan, the evil thought in the people. He loves to do this. So that's why sometimes you may think, how did somebody know about something? This happens. The shaitan is adun mubin, a plain enemy towards you. He will go and he'll tell somebody. So what had happened? There was a buzz around society. Buzz around society that the Aziz, this beautiful woman, she craved her slave boy. So when Zuleyka, which is the wife of the Aziz, she heard about this, she thought, I need to nip it in the bud. So one of the things that she did was to invite all of these high society women, the ones who are gossiping and so on. She brought them and invited them to a big dinner, this big feast. And he said that she gave them a dessert. Now we used to what? Ice cream, cornetto or something like that. Maybe a trifle or something like that. Halal obviously. She gave them a dessert. This type of dessert was a sweet that they had to use a knife to cut. So it's quite hard. So she ensured that every one of them had a knife. And then she asked Yusuf to walk in. Now one of the things that happened with Yusuf is that whenever he used to walk in society or anywhere outside, he said that he used to veil himself. Veil himself, so handsome. So people really didn't know what he looked like. They just thought a slave boy. So this is why one of the things that the ulama said, is in regards to the niqab which is the face veil, that most cases is something mubah, permissible, sometimes it's recommended, but it becomes fraught on the people that would cause fitna in society. So if someone is very beautiful, she has a right to wear it. If she causes a lot of attention and so on. And also the ulama said that sometimes a very pretty boy, or very handsome as we say, if they cause so much fitna in society, they should not wear like a veil like a niqab, but they should try to cover a portion of their face to stop the fitna. Because we're all supposed to are gays, but we know even women look, yes? Once, inshallah, is a permissible halal. So he said on this occasion, Zuleyka said to Yusuf, you walk in, uncover your face and so on. As he walked in, what were they doing? They're cutting the dessert and they didn't even realize that they started to cut their fingers. They're nipping their fingers with the blade. This is what Allah mentions in the... So they exclaimed, they said, Hasha lillah, ma hadha basharan, in hadha illa malakun kareem. This is not bashar. This is not a man. It is malakun, which means angel, kareem, a noble angel. Now we've got to think, how handsome was Yusuf alayhi salam if the women are saying this? They won't even accept him to be human. That's why there's a big debate amongst the scholars. The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, is he bashar? He's so handsome. They said, when you look to his face, it was like the full moon, so bright. So debate who was more handsome and so on. Allah knows best. They're both amongst the noblest of creation, yes? But one of the things that it is said, it is that Yusuf alayhi salam, he had half the beauty. Have you heard of this? And Sarah alayhi salam, she had half a beauty. What does this mean, half a beauty? Sometimes people think it means half of the beauty of all of humanity. I mean, all of the beauty of all of humanity, we split it in half, half of it given to Yusuf alayhi salam, which is something awesome, is it not? What the scholar said this means is, when you look to Adam alayhi salam, they said the scholar said the most beautiful of creation must have been Adam alayhi salam. Because when you create the first, the prototype is always the best, from which you mold all the rest, yes? Prototype is the best. And why wouldn't Allah create the best of the best of the best of the best? Aba Bashar, the best. So they said the most handsome man must be Adam alayhi salam. The best physique must have been the physique of who? Adam alayhi salam. And you know how they reason this? Because when we enter Jannah, inshallah ta'ala, we will all enter Jannah, we are given the height of who? Adam alayhi salam. We are given, yes, are we not given the height of Adam? So the scholar said this must be the reason. So Yusuf alayhi salam was given half the beauty of Adam alayhi salam. And Sarah was given half the beauty of who? Eve, also known as Hawa. So this is how they balanced it. So what did they say? Hasha lillah ma hadha basharan in hadha illa malakun kareem. Cannot be human. So what did she say, Zuleyka? She said, now do you understand my situation? It was one moment of temptation, but now do you understand my situation? What did this do further? The fact is out now, is it not? Did he quell the rumors? Did he make the situation better or worse? Worse now. Can you imagine now the women are in fitna as well? This is what I'm saying. It's one of those stories just unfolds and unfolds and unfolds. This happened to a prophet. That's why Allah says the best of stories. So then what happens? Aziz comes in, finds out this is happening. He thinks, how am I going to resolve this issue? The women are calling Yusuf alayhi salam to them. The Aziz is thinking, what am I going to do? Then in amongst this, Yusuf alayhi salam, he makes dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. He said, Rabbi as-sijnu ahabbu mimma yadunani ilayya. The prison for me is better than what these people are calling me to. And this is usually one of the main lessons that people talk about, do they not? The life of Yusuf alayhi salam in the prison and how he had patience and so on. But it's from his own dua. He made the dua that the prison for me at this moment in time is better than what they're calling me to. So the Aziz, he decides, without any justification, the Yusuf alayhi salam imprisoned. What was the purpose of this imprisonment? To kill the rumors. Because if Yusuf alayhi salam is in the prison, then definitely he tried to do something with the wife of the Aziz. The rich and those in high society, they know the truth, but it's for the general masses now, is it not? Because the last thing you want is the masses to rise against the government, the people in power. So now what do we find? We find that Yusuf alayhi salam is in prison. So next lesson now, inshallah ta'ala, from the life. What do you think we can learn from the life of Yusuf alayhi salam in prison? Obviously patience is one of the things, but look to the da'i that he is. And look to the akhlaq, his characteristic. This is what we want to speak about now, inshallah ta'ala, when we speak about the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. He is in prison. Now when he's put into prison, he's put in a cell with two other young men. And one of the things that these two young men were doing, where they had this sort of issue with each other, they were discussing, because both of them had a dream as well. Both of them had a dream, and they didn't know what it meant. So when they saw Yusuf alayhi salam come in, they said to him, we see you as someone righteous. Muhsinin, from amongst the Muhsinin. So he said, tell us, they said to him, tell us what is the meaning of our dreams. So these two men, who were the two men? They were two men who were put in prison by who? The king, the Pharaoh. One of them was, do you know what his job was, vocation? One was a baker. Yes, good, mashallah. The second? Yeah, he was a winemaker. He used to take grapes and they used to just step in it or crush it and they make the wine for who? The Pharaoh to drink and so on. So that two of them had a dream. One says, I see myself crushing grapes and so on and I have a cup. The other one says, I see myself with a basket of bread, loaf of bread on my head, and the birds are eating from this. What is the meaning of these dreams? So, Yusuf alayhi salam, did he go straight in and tell him what the dream meant? No. He uses opportunity for the da'wah. So one of the first things he does, he calls them to Tawheed. And he gives them a question. And one of the ways to engage into da'wah is to ask people questions. So he says, أَرْبَابٌ مُتَفَرِّقُونَ خَيْرٌ أَمِنَ اللَّهِ الْوَاحِدُ الْقَهَّارِ. He says, arbabun mean lords, mutafarrikun mean many lords. Are they better than al-wahid, mean one God, and al-qahhar, the one who is the sustainer and provider? So what is he teaching the people? Teaching the people about tawheed. I mean, the people there, and obviously the people in the land of the pharaohs, and we see from the hieroglyphics, full of what? Shirkiyat, is it not? They used to have a god with a head of a dog or a jackal, God with the head of a bird, and so on. This is what they used to think was their Lord. So he made sure that what he was calling them to what? Tawheed. And this is the role of the prophets, the Nabi, the messengers. This is what they do. They call people to them. Thereafter, once he'd done that, and why did he take the opportunity? Have you ever tried? I mean, are you involved in da'wah? Have you ever tried to give non-Muslims da'wah? What happens if you try and grab someone who's in a rush? Say, do you know about God? Do you know? What did they say? No time, no time. They walk off. Okay? Or they see you wearing something nice and a turban, and you say, do you know about God? And they say, look, Taliban, no time. You won't, I mean, they don't respect you in that sense. They don't have time for you. Yusuf alayhi salam, he saw that these people respected him and they wanted something from him. So why not use the opportunity? Use the opportunity. That's what they did. So anyway, he explained to the cupbearer. He said to the cupbearer, what you will be doing, the cupbearer, he said, what you will be doing, you will be holding the cup for the king. I mean, you're going to be freed and you will be holding the cup for the king. So you will be in the courts of the king. But he said to the person who said he was carrying bread on his head, he said, you're going to be crucified by the king. And the bread is the significance of your head. And once you're crucified, the birds will come and peck from you, I mean, eat your dead body. And he said, this is the haqq, the truth. You asked me, I told you, nothing is going to change. This is your destiny. This is your destiny. So one is going to live, and he's going to be in the company of the king. So he's going to be better off, is he not? And the other one, he's going to be king. He's going to be killed by the king. In fact, crucified to the point the birds, they will eat from him. So what he did, Yusuf alayhi salam, he told the one who's going to be freed, he said to him, when you go to your Lord, Rabb, yes? Remind your Rabb about me. Now what does Rabb mean here? Lord? It's a linguistic term. I mean, the one who owns you, the master, is called Rabb. So he said, when you go to the king, I mean your Lord, remind him. Say there's a man here in this situation. Remind him about me. This person, did he remember? No. He forgot. And he said that he's forgot for so many years. Some say 3 years, some say up to 9 years. It was an odd number of years. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, I don't know if I would have the patience of Yusuf alayhi. We know the Prophet ﷺ, he suffered a lot, did he not? But even he ﷺ said, I don't know if I would have the patience of Yusuf alayhi. So the lesson we learn is the lessons of patience, and we learn the use of hikmah, wisdom. So anyway, this person now is in the king's court, the wine bearer, and we're coming to the conclusion of the story, inshallah ta'ala. Bear with me, inshallah. What happens whilst he's in the court? The king, who is the pharaoh, he has a dream. In this dream, brothers who know, what does he see in the dream, this pharaoh? He sees 7 cows. What are they? 7 of them? Fat. We'll use the term fat, mashallah. And 7 of them are lean. Doesn't know what the significance of this. Then he says in his dream he saw corn, which they're called ears. The things on the corn, ears. And he said 7 of these ears, they're fresh and green. But on another corn he found 7 of them withered, drying out. So he turned to the people in his court and he said, what is the significance of this? The people in the court, they said, haven't a clue. We don't know. Which is another lesson I want to teach you. You know, dream interpretation is something not many people know about. You know, as a community, the Muslim community, we're fascinated with dreams. If anyone says, oh, if you saw this in your dream, it means this, it means this, people are fascinated. They rush to these people. And then you find people, what they do, they make a business out of this. And you may even find that they're on TV and you're paying £1.50 a minute to speak to these people. But if this knowledge was something that was really so correct, don't you think more people would have done it? Do we know any companions who are famous for this? Anyone else? Very few. That's what I'm saying. He was stumped. Very few. Most famous person is Ibn Sirin, yes? But even his books, you got to be careful. Is it authentically taken from him, or has it been something translated in Pakistan and in India where they've added everything that they can? Yalla ya Sheikh, go. You got to be careful. Dream is something that is not easily interpreted. Very few people did it, and even the Sahaba, they didn't indulge in this. And there's a reason behind this I'm going to mention in the conclusion, inshallah ta'ala. So, dreams is not something very easy to understand. So they said in the court, we don't know. Then that guy who was bearing the cup for the king, he remembered, and he says, yes, I remember someone. He's in the prison. His name is Yusuf. What did the king or the pharaoh do? He sent him straight away. When the man went to Yusuf alayhi salam, he didn't chastise him. He didn't ask him any question. He didn't bother saying any more of da'wah. The king asked for the interpretation of the dream. What happened? He gave it straight away. This is the king asking, yes? He's already invited the man, the messenger, to Islam already. So the king wants some information, he gives it. No condition. And the interpretation is what? What do the cows signify? What do the corn signify? 7 good years and 7 bad years. 7 good years where everyone will be happy, the food will be there and so on. 7 bad years where famine is going to come. So this man went back to the king and he related this. The king was very pleased. It's an asset to have someone like this, is not. What did he say? He said to the messenger, go and tell him to come and join my circle. Yusuf alayhi salam, did he come? No. When he came to explaining the dream, unconditional, he said, no problem, I'm going to explain. When he came to take him out of prison, and now he's going to be in the court, he's a freed man, is he not? Yusuf alayhi salam said, no. Rather, go and tell the king about the women and the issue of the knife. King is going, when this went back to the king, was that, who are these people? It turned out, news came to him, it was Aziz and it was Aziz's wife and her friends. So he called them all, the king. Called them all to the court and said, what is this situation? This is a man called Yusuf, he said, he wants you to relate to me what happened on that day. And it was Zuleyka who said, verily, we have done him wrong. We were the one that wronged him. He didn't ask no wrong at all, and explained the situation. So Yusuf alayhi salam, he comes out a free man as well as someone who has cleared his name. Because it's important that we do this. That your name is cleared. Because once you have a slur in your name, it's very difficult. Very difficult to remove. I don't know if you followed the news. Did you hear about this man yesterday? He's a man who sells IT equipment and so on. He was going to sue Google. For what reason? Somebody had given his trade review and done something which was not true at all. Somebody had given a review to regards to using his service, and they said, we would never use this person. Firstly, the service he provided was awful. He took out my SIMs, which are the memories from the computer, and changed them with dud ones. And secondly, he said, he tried to touch my young girl. So he put 2 claims on this person. This man is just a businessman. Never met this person at all. Somebody wrote a false review on the internet. And what happened? He said, within a few days, 5 days, my business plummeted 80%. 80%. Can you imagine? Like, how did this happen? He couldn't work it out. Then he looked to the review, and it was just because one man, he made a false testimony against him. So he kept complaining to Google and saying, look, can you clear my name, clear my name? Google said, no, you're free to write and counterclaim. When this man, he rubbishes your business, say no, we don't provide such service. He said, no, you need to remove this statement. Google weren't going to do that because they believe in freedom of information and so on and so on. In the end, they had to step down and they removed that comment. And obviously, this now shows it's totally clear because anyone who searches that comment is going to find that Google even had to remove it because it's untrue. So he got his name cleared. So just like that, Yusuf alayhi salam, he had his name cleared. Okay. Come to the conclusion now, inshallah ta'ala. What happened now is the Aziz is so happy. Next lesson, inshallah ta'ala. The Aziz is so happy with Yusuf alayhi salam, he says, you interpreted my dream, you know exactly how to resolve this issue. So he made him now the Aziz. The other Aziz, I mean the treasury minister who was in charge of fund and the stocks and that, demoted, and in fact he died very soon after that. Yusuf alayhi salam is made the Aziz, meaning the second in command. Now this raises a question, does it not? How can Prophet work for Fir'aun? How can Muslim work for non-Muslim in government? Does it not raise a question? How is it possible? Because every year we get this, do we not? Is it possible for us to become MP? Is it possible for us to vote? Does it not come up every year? General election, by-election, so. Is it possible for us to be a judge in the court? Is it possible for us to be a minister? Put a lot of questions in the mind of the people. How do we answer this? Now the question is, a lot of people say, and Ibn Ishaq, he said that Yusuf alayhi salam, he converted the Fir'aun. So the Fir'aun became Muslim. Is this true? Ibn Ishaq says he's a reputable scholar. We can take what he says. But the issue is, did he convert before or after he employed Yusuf alayhi salam? Majority say that he converted after. After. So Yusuf alayhi salam did work for non-Muslim. This is what he said. But there's ikhtilaf on this issue. People who want to say the argument is not allowed will say that the king became Muslim first. And those who say that it is allowed will say no, afterwards. So there's this argument that happens. In the end, we know that he did work for the Fir'aun and he became second in charge of the country. So it's a high position. So that's why when there's ikhtilaf on this issue, we need to take the balance and be in the middle and give everyone their opportunity. Even though we may not like an opinion, because scholars, they base it upon this. Base it upon this. So he is now made minister. I'm going to answer that, because a lot of you are now thinking, have I left the point? No, I haven't left the point. I'm going to answer that as well, inshallah ta'ala. So he's made the minister, and because the Aziz, the old Aziz, passed away, the Fir'aun now married Yusuf alayhi salam to who? One of the most beautiful women in Egypt, which is Zuleyka. So they become husband and wife. Husband and wife. It's said that Yusuf alayhi salam was about in his 30s then. So he's in his 30s. So Yusuf alayhi salam is now in charge of the ministry and so on, and the bad years are coming. So when the bad years come, what happened? People are coming to the courts. They're asking who? They're asking Yusuf alayhi salam, who's in charge of the stock. Remember, 7 good years, what Yusuf alayhi salam said to the people is, eat minimum what you need. Stock everything else. Don't be extravagant in these 7 years. Stock it, because you've got 7 bad years coming. And he was able to stock it. So the people from the other regions, Yusuf alayhi salam is in Egypt, people from the region of Palestine and that, they're all coming. Who came from Palestine? The brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam. So when they came, and Yusuf alayhi salam, he recognized them, though they didn't recognize him, he said to each and every one of them, I'll give you 1 camel load. But before he done that, he inquired about how many brothers and sisters and where their parents were. So he verified all the information about them. But he said to them, you know, like I've given you, and I'm a good minister, I can be very courteous, and look how merciful I am. I give you each your full share. Next year when you come, make sure you bring your other brother with you. I will give you the same. So he put something in their mind. So they went away, and the 10 brothers that came, in their mind they had this, how can we go back the following year? And he was so nice to us and not take back our brother. So the year, look to show you in time scale how the year went. The following year when they had to come, they asked their father to give Benjamin. Obviously, Yaqub alayhi salam, he didn't want to give, but in the end he gave. And they brought the brother back. This time when Yusuf alayhi salam gave their stock, one of the things that he did was take the golden cup of the king. And he told the people, put their load together, and then amongst it he slipped it in the pack that belongs to who? Benjamin. As they were leaving the court, alarm bell rang. The golden cup of the king has disappeared. Search everyone. So they searched themselves. The brothers, they searched themselves because something severe. Because the Sharia at that time is that if anyone stole something from someone, when somebody took your TV, or somebody took your computer, or somebody even stole your car, what would happen? The punishment for this is that you now become the slave for this person for life. Would there be any rights after this? Look at the Sharia. Would there be any rights? No one would take anyone's stuff, would they? That was the Sharia. So when they checked all the stuff, what did they find? They found that the cup was in the camel, that belonged to Benjamin. So Yusuf alayhi salam said, I must keep this man. I must keep this person. The 10 brothers, they said, how can you keep him? We made a promise that we were going to take him back safely. How can you keep him like this? They said, this is the Sharia. This is what has been legislated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they went. So when they went back to their father and they told the situation, the father broke down in tears. He was very upset. And he said that he had already been very poorly from crying for Yusuf alayhi salam for years. So when this happened, turned blind. But he still told his sons, go back and now go and find Yusuf and go back and try and retrieve Benjamin. So the boys, the 10 brothers, they went out, they thought, what can we do in this situation? Who's going to listen to us? So they went back to the king, this time, for what reason? To go and complain and say, look, we are in a miserable state at the moment. What can we do? So this is the time that Yusuf alayhi salam, he took pity on his brothers. And they said, we are looking for our brother. Our father will not give up looking for our son. Even though we said he's disappeared. He said, that Yusuf that you're looking for is me, none other than I. So he revealed it to his brothers. And Benjamin is here with me as well, of course. So he said, go back and go and get our parents. Now, the brothers, they said, how are our parents going to come? They will never come. We've been so treacherous to them all this time. How are they going to come? So at that point, Yusuf alayhi salam said, look, take my shirt. And he said at that time, when he gave the shirt, the wind came and gave part of his aroma. And the shirt took the scent of Yusuf alayhi salam. They said, go and our father will come back. So just to conclude the story, the brothers went back, gave the shirt to Yaqub alayhi salam. He smelt it and he said instantly his sight returned. And they got on the caravan and they all went back to Egypt and they were in the court of Yusuf alayhi salam. Now Yusuf alayhi salam, what he did, he raised their ranks. They were low, he brought them all up to him. And it's at that time what they did, they made sujood, all of them. Yusuf's parents, Shamsul Qamar, and all of the brothers, including Benjamin, they all made sujood to Yusuf alayhi salam. And then Yusuf alayhi salam said, this is the meaning, the ta'wil of the dream that I had. This is the ta'wil of the dream that I had. Inshallah ta'ala, this brings to us the conclusion of the story of Yusuf alayhi salam. We started with a dream. Started with just a dream, a beautiful story that started with a dream. And in the end, Yusuf alayhi salam, he concludes and says, this is the meaning of the dream that I had. Inshallah ta'ala. So, inshallah ta'ala, that concludes the story. So in conclusion, what we want to understand is that this is a story related so that we can take lessons. In conclusion, what we want to say is that dreams are very significant to us. Sibling rivalry is something also addressed by Islam. Also, one of the things that we understand is that Yusuf alayhi salam did a lot of things, but we need to put it into context. The issue of making sujood. A lot of the scholars, they say, sharra man qabla. It's something from the Sharia before. The issue of working for non-Muslims, some scholars even say, in the government, sharra man qabla. Whenever we have this situation, it's best for us always to stick to the Quran and Sunnah and that which is closest to the truth. I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this understanding and that we take lessons from the life of Yusuf alayhi salam. Wa quli qawli hadha astaghfirullah wa lakum.
That's not easy to cover in 1 hour, mashallah. The brother just wrapped it up in very good, mashallah. So that's okay. Brothers, if you've got questions, raise your hand, inshallah. I'm going to go through the sister's questions. What should we do when we make dua regularly for something, but a small part of us feels negative about the dua being answered? Regarding duas?
Okay, inshallah. You heard the question brother mentioned. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulullah. One of the things that you need to have is what is known as raja, hope from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Ud'uni astajib lakum. All of you make dua to me, I will respond to each and every one of you. So one of the things that you need to have is tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which means rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is one of the aspects of faith. The one who relies most on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he'll be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will taste the halawatul iman, the taste of iman. He will have this, or she will have this. So one of the things important for us is that when we make dua, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will respond because He's mujibud du'a. Mujibud, the one who responds to the dua. He was the one who will answer your dua. So you need to have this tawakkul. Now, one of the things you need to understand, dua sometimes will be answered instantly. Sometimes Allah will store it back for another time, maybe 5-6 years, your dua will be answered. Also, sometimes the dua, don't think is ever futile. Dua is just stored for Yawm al-Qiyamah. Do you know what for? That dua may give you hasanat. So this is what you need to understand. Always when you make dua, make sure that you have tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and have patience.
I've got one, inshallah. You didn't answer the question regarding the government, bro.
Yes, mashallah. Okay, inshallah ta'ala. The issue of the government is a good question. I didn't think I can nip it in conclusion, inshallah ta'ala. Yes, he did work for a non-Muslim. Now, he worked there, but he worked in a capacity where he could do good. Okay? So some people say, وَتَعَاوْنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى. Okay? So, ta'awnu means come and join on birr wa taqwa. If you can do some goodness and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then what should you do? You should come together on this. So this is what part of the lesson is. But other people, they say no, this was something Yusuf alayhi salam did, and it may be permissible in his sharia. And that's why one of the principles you need to understand is sharra man qabla. I just mentioned it briefly in the conclusion, but it's a topic in itself. I mean, we look to all of the sharia before, and we look to what was acceptable and so on. So if for example, prostration to human being permissible, which is an act of shirk today, was permissible at that time, we say that to work in non-Muslim government is an act of shirk today. Maybe at that time it wasn't shirk. So what is shirk to us today was not shirk at that time. So some of the scholars, they say this is sharra man qabla, something from previous sharia. Others say no, not necessarily, because we have the verse, ta'awun ala birri wa taqwa. If you can come together, and what you're trying to do is goodness and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, if we join, and this is the arguments, I'm just giving you both sides of the arguments, we need to be balanced people. If some people say that me becoming a police officer, not my opinion, but I'm just saying some people say, can stop crime in the city, I've done something good. Me getting to this position can give some benefit to certain people, I've done some good. That's the argument that they use. May not be my opinion, but we've got to understand where people are coming from. Because we can't be like Khawarij, only one opinion and everyone else is in the hellfire. It cannot be like that. So when people come and they use the scholastic background, they can use their usul, their foundation for what they come from. So that is to explain that. So that's why we have this ikhtilaf. Some people have no problems. Islamic conferences inviting MP, ministers, ambassadors and so on, because they say these people are trying to do some good. But then other people will say, we'll never invite these people to our conferences. Obviously you decide the circle you want to be in, the one closest to the truth, inshallah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is best. Okay.
Like you said, that's not maybe our sharia, but also, didn't it say in there?
Yes. Yes.
What's the question?
I just go.
Brother
made a very good point that Yusuf alayhi salam is the one who said, "Inil hukmu illa lillah." The rule is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a verse that we use even today to say that to have non-Muslim government and so on is not permissible for this. But yes, he believed that. Inil hukmu illa lillah. But we got to understand is, remember I said in the beginning of my introduction, the hukm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes to what He wants us to do, is not many verses. So what Allah imposed upon us is not a lot in comparison to what we're allowed to do. And what has been mubah, Allah didn't speak about this. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, when you do excessive questioning, you ask me lots of questions, you're bringing hardship upon yourself. If Allah didn't mention a thing, don't bring it upon yourself. So one of the ways we can look at this, in the time of Yusuf ﷺ, maybe he was not legislated like this. The rule is for Allah, but Allah may not have said regards to certain issues. What did Allah say? May have talked about food, may have talked about clothing. We don't know, because sharra man qabla. Only what has come to us today we can speak about. So at that time Allah may not have been so rigid on this issue. Said rather it's better for the people of Egypt to benefit from Yusuf ﷺ. So nothing was legislated regards to this issue. Because in the end we know that Yusuf ﷺ, he became the king. And he brought Tawhid into the area. He brought Tawhid into the area, brought people from Palestine and so on, and he spread. So that's why there was some aspect of Tawhid even in the area, from one person, Yusuf alayhi salam. So just because Yusuf alayhi salam said, "Inin hukmu lillah," doesn't mean necessarily the fact that the Sharia at that time was the same as what we have today. And that's what we need to appreciate, inshallah. I hope that explains the question.
Two questions from the sisters. How can a person increase their tawakkul of Allah and confidence in answering their prayers?
Tawakkul, my dear sisters, you need to appreciate tawakkul is really, relying on Allah in good times as well as bad times. Okay? Too many of us, we try to rely on Allah on bad times, but that bad time is given to you as a test. We want relief straight away from bad times. If we were people that only had good times all the time, we wouldn't appreciate hardship at all. We wouldn't even appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why we need to be people between two parallels, yes? Sabr and shukr. Patience when Allah gives you hardship. Shukr, being grateful when Allah gives you good things. That's why Muslim is like this. Raja wa khawf. Hope and fear. Hope and fear. Hope and fear. You have to be this balance. So for us, the tawakkul builds when we rely on Allah in good times as well as bad times. And not just remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in good times or just rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to answer our dua in bad times. Both the times. Be a balanced person. And be like that, inshallah ta'ala.
One more from Sister Brother. So the extra brothers. How would you best resolve a situation or fitna between sons and daughters when disputes arise over different duties made because of their gender, i.e. so hostilities and jealousy doesn't arise?
MashaAllah, very good question. That's a very good question. That's because we need to understand how we bring up children. It's easy enough just to conceive, yes? And sometimes it's difficult as well to conceive. But when the children come, amana, and I mentioned this last time in the parenting talk, but the main thing you need to appreciate is that children, you bring them up, and come the age of 7, tamayyuz, distinction. They will never be competing with each other because there's distinct roles, different roles. They're never going to be the same. And that's why, for example, Aisha radiallahu anha, she never had children, but she was given a kunya from a very young age, Abdullah. Now, whenever you get the name from a young age, you know you're a mother. So you're never going to be an engineer, muhandisa, or doctora, a doctor. You don't put that sort of thing in your children. If they want to do that, alhamdulillah. But from a young age, you're not going to be competing with the boys who are going to be fathers because they're going to be mothers. These are the sort of qualities you want to teach them. And each is distinct and different. So that's why when the children look at their parents and they see distinct roles, they know we're not competing. That's why, even though my wife says my daughter looks like me genetically, if I ever say to her, who do you look like? She will say, my mum. She will say straight away, I look like my mum. Anyone who sees my daughter will say, no, spitting image of you, bro. They will say something like that. But because she sees herself as a woman, she says, I look like my mum. And so that's what you get. So how do you avoid that? From a young age, we say baba, mama, we teach them this. And we teach them that there are different roles so that they don't compete. And the other thing that we do is obviously when we like I mentioned the story of my daughter, is that when we treat them, we give them that which is appropriate for them so that they understand that they're equal in worth, inshallah ta'ala. And that's what we should do. It's not easy parenting, and sometimes we do something habitually we don't even realize. And that's why sometimes we get bad parenting tips because we didn't apply Islam. Maybe we just saw how parents did it and so on. So we don't want to do that. If we come to learn about Islam, take the knowledge and apply it, inshallah ta'ala. And I pray Allah makes it easy.
Was the sajda of shukr?
Yes, that's a very good point, mashallah. The sajda that was given was not one of ibadah. It was not one of worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. It was something that is named as shukr. And that's exactly how people see it today. So many of the times when if you watch any wedding movies from the Indian subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, whatever, you will find people, they come down and they bow down to the elders. They don't think it's worship. Though it's prohibited in Islam, they don't see it as shirk. They see it as respect. And this is exactly the sajda that the family of Yusuf alayhi salam did. It was to do shukr, gratefulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it wasn't in the fact that they were using it as a focal point, like a qibla, like to focus for. It was just something showing gratefulness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yes, it was the sajda of shukr.
Okay, so just another few left, inshallah. It's off the topic, but can we cut our nails and hair if we are doing qurbani? It's a fiqh issue.
No, you can't. And it's kind of awkward for me because I've done the same and I never see my nails grow so much in less than 10 days. Okay?
Just to add to the question, I heard an opinion that it's actually if you're taking part in the slaughtering. Can you add that?
Very good question. Yeah. Now, the balanced answer for this, and this is scanning all the different fiqh of the different madhaib and so on, in a nutshell, the best way to look at it is that if you're the one who want to do qurbani, and you are the sahib of the mal, you're the one who has the wealth, then you are the one who's going to do the qurbani. Now you delegate that to somebody else. All you've done is delegated the action, but you are the one, the niyyah and the reward will all come to you. So that's why you are the one. You cannot trim your hair, clip your nails, in fact anything. He said anything to do with skin, like plucking hair under your armpits and that, you can't do any of that. And that's why I was saying it's quite awkward, because I never had this situation. All of a sudden to look at my nails, all of a sudden to look at my beard and be unkempt and that, and you think, well, this is worship. Inshallah, this is the worship, and you appreciate it when you go through that. So yes, the one who's doing qurbani, he doesn't clip his nails or trim his hair, inshallah ta'ala.
It doesn't include the household, does it?
Doesn't include the household, so the children doesn't affect, or it doesn't include the wife either. Now, if the wife does her own qurbani, and she has her own wealth, she is the sahiba of the wealth, there's a different thing altogether. She can do it as sunnah muakkada. But it's not an obligation on the wife at all. Even according to the Hanafi fiqh, it's always the male, the one who's the man, inshallah ta'ala.
Any brothers? One more. Okay, you said sometimes the niqab or the covering of one's face is due to the beauty, but isn't the beauty in the eye of the beholder? And so what then if the sister's beauty is neither great nor small, but the jealousy of the husband is great? It's a bit of a...
MashaAllah. Firstly, let's just go through the fiqh, and the fiqh that I follow, inshallah ta'ala. To me, I don't believe niqab is fard for a start, okay? So, if anyone who comes to me and says, my husband wants to impose something, then I will have to speak to the brother, depending on the fiqh. So the niqab for me is not fard on a person. If out of choice they want to do it, they can get hasanat, which is reward and so on, inshallah ta'ala. For me, the covering is anything other than the face and the hand, because I found this from even the tafsir of Ibn Kathir. A lot of the scholars, they follow this as well. And as there's a specific hadith, which has not been refuted, though the people who want to make it fard will refute it, where the Prophet ﷺ said clearly to Asma, when you reach puberty, you cover your body except that which is zahir, which is the face and the hand. And as the hadith says, pointed to these areas, then we know that it's not for to cover those areas. So I want the husband to understand this before he gets zealous, okay? Secondly, what is more virtuous than Hajj? Can you tell me? What is more virtuous than Hajj? It is amongst one of the afdal amal, the best of deeds, Hajj Mabrur. The women who go to Hajj, it is haram, being sinful if they cover their face. So to show that something is so pious, where Allah is going to give you Jannah, women are not allowed to, in the state of ihram, I mean, in the days of ihram, allowed to cover their face or their hand. If they do, penalty. So just to show, I want those people who are not, who are forced to wear niqab and that, to explain to the husband, this is the fiqh and so on, okay? So those husbands should not be zealous. It's easy to oppress our women like this, that we make them impose on them gloves and so on and so on. But this is one aspect of the fiqh. You need to obviously look at the balance of it. So the opinion I follow that is not fard. Okay, that's the opinion I follow. The issue of the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, you know, subhanallah. The story of Layla Majnu, yeah? Layla Majnu, if you ever look into the authenticity of this story, Layla was not actually someone very pretty. Though Romeo and Juliet, they always depict him as being someone pretty, yes? They said Majnu was from mad. He actually liked someone who wasn't very pretty, because that's why it's called Majnu, mad, from Majnun. So just to show you, eye is in the beauty of the beholder. So not necessarily is going to be the fact that the beauty is something that everyone's going to appreciate. It's up to you what the beauty is. But the question was, what if you have an overzealous husband? Obviously try to explain to the husband, and a husband should try to be balanced as well. If it causes difficulty, because it's quite difficult for people to wear niqab. You try to cook with niqab, okay? You try to go to hospital, child labour, are you going to wear niqab? Are you going to wear niqab? It's difficult enough breathing. They're giving you oxygen to breathe. So you need to understand, have a balanced opinion when it comes to this. Not to be overzealous. Not to be overzealous, inshallah ta'ala. Obviously, if there's fitna being caused, that's when the ulama say it's recommended at that time to wear niqab. And I found this sometimes. Some sisters, I wish they would wear niqab, even though it's not my opinion, because I've seen this sister walk along the street and every man would look. Because she's single and people know she's single and they think, can I propose to her? It caused big fitna. And at that time I wish this sister was married, because then it would be known. So there's a lot of situations like this, inshallah ta'ala, and Allah knows best. I pray Allah makes it easy for each and every one of us and gives us understanding. And this deen is a balanced deen, inshallah ta'ala.